Baby, lay on back and relax. Kick your pretty feet up on my dash. No need to go nowhere fast. Let's enjoy right here where we at.
So I'm going to talk about postpartum depression versus the baby blues versus just normal. I don't want to say normal. Feeling okay. So I've had 3 babies, and I think with each one of those. I think I've had all 3 experiences. So we'll start off with my first. Brett, I think I had the baby blues. And that is just basically like a few weeks, maybe 1 or 2 weeks of just feeling emotional. And I think for me, I just didn't really know what I was doing yet. Like, it was just like, how am I expected to just go home with this 2-day-old baby and know how to sustain him 100%? Like, I didn't know anything. I just had to figure everything out. And of course I had like my mom and my sister and my cousins and stuff I could call, but we lived in Denver at the time, and we were far because our family's from South Carolina. So we just, I don't know, I just didn't really feel like I had a lot of support at home. I just was like lost. So I think it just made me feel scared, kind of. So that was the baby blues, and I got over that super quick. After a couple weeks, I was perfectly fine. I was happy. He was great. So, it was not a big deal at all. I think that's completely normal. Lydia came along, and she was my rough one. I really had pretty bad postpartum depression with her, which basically with her, I think I had certain triggers, and one of the main ones was I felt like I had her too close to Brett. Now, they are 18 months apart, so I still feel like Brett was a baby when she was born, even though he was 18 months. I felt like he was my baby, he was my little buddy, and then along comes Lydia, and I just wanted to be with him because, I'm sitting in the rocking chair trying to nurse her, and he's crying for me, and I wanted so badly to just like put her down and go to him. Like, I knew Brett, and he was like my little, I don't know, my first baby. I just wanted him. And then along comes this baby that I don't know her. I didn't know her cues. I didn't understand her. I was so emotional, and I just wanted him. So that was one of my triggers, just feeling like Brett needed me and I wasn't there enough. Let me think. Another trigger would be when anyone, even if they were trying to be helpful and say like, oh, I'll watch the kids, or I got it, you don't have to worry about it. It made me feel like incapable. Like, the first thing that popped in my head would be like, what do you mean you got it? Like, no, these are my kids. They need me. They don't need you. They need me. And that's like really silly to say now when I'm like 100% myself again. But at the time, that's just the way I felt. I was just like, I don't know how else to describe it other than you just jump to the worst thoughts. Like, of course, when someone says, hey, I'll watch your kids for you, how is that ever a bad thing? But in my depressed state, my mind jumped to, why are you telling me that my kids don't need me? They need me more than you. Stop trying to be my kid's parent. Back off. Like, that, it's like a twisted way of thinking. And it's weird because it was like I was fighting myself, because I knew that these thoughts were wrong, and I knew that that's ridiculous to think that someone is like saying my kids don't need me. So I would like be telling myself, stop thinking these things. But then part of me was just like, no, you need to be the kid's mom and they need you. So it was like I was fighting with myself, and I just bottled it all up. Like, I didn't tell anyone about this until I don't even know, like a long time into it. Like, I just fought with myself, and it's like I would just cry over nothing and everything. Like, the smallest thing would happen, and I have a hard time like showing my emotions as I'm getting emotional. I have a hard time, like, I don't know, being transparent with people, I guess. So I would just put on this face like, oh, it's fine, it's fine. And then the second I was alone, I would like completely fall apart. And I thought, which I've heard other people say this too, so I know I'm not the only one. I thought, if I tell someone how I'm feeling, they're gonna take my kids away. And I wasn't ever like thinking that I wanted to hurt my kids or myself. I don't think I ever thought things like that, but I don't know why. I wish I had kind of like journaled through this time, because right now in my state of mind where I'm myself, none of that makes sense to me now. But at the time I remember thinking, I can't explain this to anyone because it doesn't make any sense. And when I would try to verbalize it, I just felt like I sound like a crazy person and they're gonna take my kids away because I'm not fit to be taking care of these two children. Like, I can't do it. But if I tell someone these thoughts I'm having or the way that I think I feel, they're gonna think I'm crazy and take the kids away. And I was like so scared to be told I wasn't adequate or I wasn't mentally stable enough to have my kids. And it scared me, so I did not tell anyone, which I think is stupid. And I think if you're having postpartum depression, or if you're even questioning it, just go talk to someone. Like, thinking back, I don't know why it took me so long to just tell anyone. I don't even know if I ever told anyone until I was almost out of it. Like, I just fought through it myself the whole time, and it lasted so many months. Like, I think Lydia was, sorry, I'm not looking at the camera. I'm like trying to think. I think Lydia was probably 5 or 6 months when I first like had motherly feelings towards her, where I actually wanted her and I wanted to spend time with her and hold her and get to know her. But it took that long for me to like want her. Before that, it was just like, I don't know, like she felt like an alien to me or something. Like, she wasn't my kid. It was just like a kid that came into our family and ruined this perfect little family we had going on. And she cried a lot. She spit up every single time I fed her. Like, she just projectile vomited. And I felt like, well, breastfeeding moms know, like, basically that's all you feel good for. Like, all I'm good for is feeding this kid. Like, I have no purpose. I just feed this kid all the time. And when she would spit up every time, I just thought, I'm not even good for that. Like, what am I doing? I'm doing everything wrong. Like, I just thought the worst things. Everything was bad. And then if someone was talking about me, even if they just said like something nice, in my head, I don't know how I flipped it around to mean something mean. Like, it really is just a twisted way of thinking, and I wish I had gotten out of it sooner, because I probably thought more bad things in that 5 months about people than I have in my entire life. Like, I don't know why. I can't explain it. I think it is just crazy hormones, I guess. I don't know, but it's a sad, lonely place to be. And I was so nervous when I found out I was pregnant again. That was my first thought, was if I get depression again, I don't think I can handle it, because having 3 under 3 and being in that state of mind, I'm going to lose it. Like, I can't do it. That's when I decided I wanted to do an all-natural birth with Ray, because I've heard that lessens your chance of having postpartum depression. And I don't know if it's true, and I'll cover epidural versus natural in a different video, but I strongly think that it did help, because I've read and heard that if you've had depression before, it's likely to come back if you have another baby or whatever. I didn't get it at all with Ray. So Ray is my good baby. I don't know how else to say it, but I didn't get any blues with her. I didn't get any depression. She's 3 months old, and I'm like, I don't know, I guess when I came home from the hospital with her, I had that like newborn haze kind of where you're just so tired. And if you watch my birth whatever, story, you'll know that it was horrible. We were all sick that week, and coming home from the hospital, I really was just exhausted. So I think once I got over that initial being tired, I was okay. Like, we did a lot when Ray was first born. We kind of like went on vacation, and we were traveling. We just like drove around and did stuff because Robbie really doesn't get off work that much. So because he had 2 weeks off, we just kind of made the most of it and just did everything. So I think that was exhausting. But once we got on like our normal schedule, I was not at all even like having the baby blues. I knew exactly what I was doing. She nursed well. She slept great from day one. I don't know, like, I just am happy with her. I always want to be with her. I just want to hold her all the time, and it was like that from the moment she was born. Like, I don't want to say that I love her more than my other kids, but she just has like a special little place in my heart. Like, maybe it's her red hair. I don't know, but that girl is special, and I think that maybe the difference was the epidural, or not having the epidural with Ray. And with the other two, I did have epidurals. I don't know, maybe that's really stupid to think that, but anyway, I've been through it all. I have experienced all 3 types of levels of having a baby. And I am extremely sorry if you feel like you're having depression, but please get help, and just talk to someone and vent about it, because bottling it up was the worst thing I did, and I think that's what prolonged it. Like, I probably could have been fine after a month or so if I had just gotten help. And sorry, I'm gonna jump back to the depression part, because that's the most important part. Like, baby blues, it's fine, you get over it. Having a baby and just being happy, it happened to me. I don't know if that's normal, I don't know. But depression, it was rough. Like, I just was not myself for a long time. And I remember I knew I had it. Like, at first I wondered. Like, the week that we brought her home from the hospital, I remember me and Robbie just went for a drive, and I was just crying in the car. And he's like, "What is wrong? Like, do we need to go back home? What's wrong?" And I was just like, I don't know what's wrong. I just don't feel right. Like, there's no explaining it. I just felt like down all the time. But I knew I had it when I went to the doctor for her checkup. And I think it was at her 2 week. I filled out the little questionnaire. And it's funny because when I filled it out after I had Brett, I remember, doing all like, "No, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good." And I remember reading the questions like, what in the world? Who would ever think these things? Who would feel this way? And then with Lydia, I felt every single one of them. Like, I didn't laugh as much. I was crying way more than normal. I was losing sleep over the baby, and not just to feed them. I was thinking bad thoughts about people. I felt like everyone was out to get me. It was like every single one I felt. And the doctor came in, and I answered like half honestly. I was kind of like, yeah, sometimes, even though in my head I'm like, yes. So the doctor came in, she's like, "Oh, you didn't do so well on your postpartum checklist or whatever." And I was like, "Well, it's okay, I'm fine." She's like, "All right, well, here's a list of like counselors if you want to talk to someone." And I, like, the second she handed me that list, I got mad. I was like, "Who are you to tell me that I need some stranger's help? I am not about to call some person I don't even know and express my feelings that I don't even understand." Like, it made me mad. And that, like I said earlier, like, she was trying to help, and I just immediately twisted it into, she's out to get me and they're going to take my kids away or something. So anyway, I went back for her 1 month checkup, and or 2 month. I think it was her 2 month. And I did the checklist again, and she was like, oh, you didn't do, your questionnaire is pretty rough. And again, I wasn't even completely honest on it. And I was like, I had a huge lump in my throat. Like, I just wanted to burst out all of my feelings to her, but she was the pediatrician. Like, what is she gonna do? So I just like choked it back, and I kind of was like, I know, it's okay. Like, I'll be fine. And Lydia was like 2 months old. I should have felt better at this point, but I wasn't, and I didn't want to admit that. I was like, no, I'll be fine. And I got in the car and like broke down, and I knew, like, this is depression. Like, why am I not over this? And why am I crying when someone asks me about it? Like, she seriously was like, how are you feeling? And I just was like, don't cry. Don't, like, I don't know. It was just like the second someone wanted to talk about it, I would break apart. So I just didn't ever want to talk about it because I didn't want to cry in front of people or to express that I was having these terrible feelings. I don't know. Anyway, that was a long rabbit trail. Anyway, short, sweet, to the point. I really want to encourage moms, if you feel like you might have postpartum depression, get help, ask questions, stop Googling stuff because it doesn't help. It made it 10 times worse for me. All I wanted to hear someone say was, it's normal and it's okay. You're going to be okay. Have these feelings. They will leave. It's okay. But I was so scared if I told someone, because I kind of tried telling a couple people, and I felt like I kept getting answers like they were trying to fix it. And I just wanted someone so badly to be like, it's okay. Like, you don't have a problem. There's nothing wrong with you. You'll be fine. I just wanted to know that I was normal and not crazy, I guess. I don't know how else to describe it because I'm not in it anymore, and it is hard to explain looking back. So I hope this helps someone. If you're going through it, you can ask me. If you want, just reach out. It's okay. You're not alone. You will get through it. You're being a good mom. Just hang in there a little bit longer.
Jesus' blood and righteousness, I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly trust in Jesus.